think it's quite easy to assume when you're, I don't know, in your 40s, that all of that physical stuff is from the past. And then I stumbled across this spine race. I started watching the people at the back, and I was thinking, they look like normal people. I think I could be like them. So I was really pushing out on this and not spotting that actually the road was icy. But I went to sort of push off with my foot and went, my face planted onto the tarmac here. You have to try and remember that your strength will return, and you have to try to make sure that you are still in the game at that point.
Hello guys, welcome back to Beyond the Horizon podcast, the podcast where you expand your horizons of knowledge. With me today, Ian Evans.
Hi.
So Ian, who are you?
I'm Ian, and I do ultra marathons. Well, I have done ultra marathons, and I did quite a big one a couple of weeks ago, which I after 5 years bashing away at trying to succeed at it, I finally got it in the bag.
Woo!
I'm feeling very good about it.
Go! Come on. Ian, sorry, could you please light the candle? We're basically a cult. So okay. That's the way we start you in this podcast. So Ian. Basically, so tell us a little bit about how did you get into ultramarathons? Like, what's the big deal here?
Well, I've always run since I was a teenager. And when I was in my 20s, I had some friends who ran the London Marathon, and I went along to watch them, and I thought that was great. And they said, "Why don't you do it next year with us?" And I thought, okay. So I did that, and that was great. I did a few more marathons in my 30s. Had a bit of time off, I guess, sort of late 30s and 40s when my wife and I had kids. And then when they started to become a bit more self-sufficient, I got back into it. And then I stumbled across this race called the Spine Race.
Dun, dun, dun.
and I just look at it thinking, oh my God, these people, they were doing, the Pennine Way, which is, a mountainous area in the north of the country in the middle of winter. And it was 268 miles over. And I was thinking, they're all going to die.
Okay, wait a second. Let's bring it back. What the hell is the Spine ultramarathon?
So it's this race. They do it every winter in January, and it's a long distance path called Pennine Way. Goes over about 5 mountain ranges, and the competitors, and there's about 150 people do it with rucksacks with emergency equipment, so they don't die if something happens.
Yeah, that's good.
And there are a few checkpoints along the way, so they can get some hot food, sleep for a bit at the checkpoints. They've got a week to do it. Generally about half the people make it, and half don't. And I just started off. Also, you've got a tracker on while you're doing it, so
I hope so.
The world can watch. And I said, and they're called, the people who watch it are called dot watchers, and that's what I was. I was just watching these people's progress and thinking, oh, it's amazing. And they're going all through the night, every night. And I thought, it's so terrific. And then I started to think, well, I wonder if I could do that. So they've got some sort of more entry-level distances. So I had to go at those. Sometimes I failed, sometimes I succeeded. When you succeed in something like that, you feel great about yourself. And then finally I thought, okay, I'm going to have a go at the full distance in winter. I had 3 goes and didn't make it. And then the fourth, and what I'd said was going to be the last go, was 2 weeks ago. And yes, I managed to drag myself over the line and succeed, and I couldn't be happier that I've managed that.
I don't know why, but it doesn't give me the feeling that it's going to be the last one. It just doesn't.
I think it will. No, I think it will. It's just there's nowhere to go upwards from there. I've done the most difficult one. It's a big box ticked. It's a big itch scratch.
Is the last batch in the Scouts one?
And they're not. I mean, they're not cheap. These things as well. They cost quite a lot to enter.
How much does it cost?
It's about, I think it's £1,300.
Damn.
Yeah, but there's a lot of infrastructure that they put in to keep people safe, medics,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing, and vehicles and trackers, all
Etc.
checkpoints.
Food.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that. Okay.
So I will do other stuff. I'm not going to sit around, on the sofa reading the Racing Post, getting fat for the rest of my life. I will do, there's plenty of things I want to do, things that I've put on hold for the last 5 years as well. But yeah, I won't do another spine event.
Well, I am running my first triathlon sprint this year. Yeah, on April.
Brilliant.
So
I mean, that's for them. They're really hard. The different muscles that you use.
oh my god, yeah. Like I've tried it. I tried to switch once. So I did half an hour running. I didn't do it by kilometers. Just did it by the time. Half an hour running, and then I went into cycling. Awful. Like it's just awful. And then I did swimming, and then I went to cycling.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
The worst one is the bicycle into the run.
I know.
And it's those muscles there cramp up horribly, and you end up running like this.
Like the
and all you can
how do you call them? The spaghetti feel.
but all you can do is carry on, and it does go after about half a mile.
Half a mile?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've done them before?
I've done a few. Yeah.
A few? Oh my!
I've done 4.
Have you done a Ironman?
No.
Is that the next one?
No, part of me would love to, but I don't know. I'm 58, and I just think I think there's a limit on these things really, and I think it's too late to be starting Ironman now.
Is there? Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
I've got a list of things I want to do.
All good.
And Ironman isn't on it.
All good. Okay, so let's bring it back a little bit. So just before you start to go crazy on ultra marathons, what were you doing? So like, what do you do for work and so on? Are you a normal guy? That's the question, basically.
I've worked for banks and building society. I started off in marketing for 15 years for banks, ended up in IT security, which is what I do now. Currently with an insurance company. And it's normal. I live just outside Bristol. I've got 2 children, both grown up now, and doing their own thing. I have been involved in the Scouts. And that's probably is a bit connected actually. I think that helped me get back into outdoorsy stuff when the kids were, becoming, of that age.
I gotta say, I was a Scout for many years.
Yeah,
many years. Yeah, I don't know, about 15, something like that. 12, 15, I don't know.
It's great.
It's amazing. Oh my goodness, yes, it's the most beautiful thing you can do.
And I'm sure not all Scout troops are amazing, but I think around the Bristol area, they spend a lot of time out in the countryside, doing just fantastic outdoorsy things.
I gotta say, when I came to England, because I lived here for like 1 year when I was like 13. No, I lived in Chile the whole time. I thought there were like a little bit of because like in Chile, at least the Scouts group that I was in, we did like activities for the whole night, and like we did like this like I don't know, huge activities, dangerous activities as well, and so mainly because the group is still run by university students.
Yeah.
So there's no real adult there. So yeah, and I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying.
It depends was just
who's
like
running the troop.
Yeah.
Because if it's being run by someone who just wants to whittle spoons and and make posters, then that's going to be no good. But there's plenty of troops that aren't like the troop that I helped with just outside Bristol. We were doing all the sort of stuff you described.
Yeah.
We were out camping every month throughout the year. We've camped in a foot of
every
snow.
month.
Yeah. We've been clearing a foot of snow from a field so that we could camp there. That's
damn. Okay. I read that. Okay. Yeah. What group is it? Just to give them a shout out.
Burrington and Rington. It's called First Burrington and Rington Scout Troop. They're the best.
Let's go. Any shout out? No, don't worry. It's actually quite late, so please no. Okay, so and what actually made you not feel so fulfilled that actually led you then into, well, going for ultra marathons? Because it's not normal, like it's not a.
Well, but I think it's a bit the other way around. I think once I started to get a bit of time back, once my children didn't need me, to be with them all the time, didn't want me to be with them all the time. I was just dad, so it gave me more time. And I think it's quite easy to assume when you, I don't know, in your 40s, that all of that physical stuff is from the past. Because I'd run marathons in my 20s, and I'd put on a bit of weight. I mean, I wasn't excessively fat, but I wasn't anything like as fit as I had been in my 20s and the beginning of my 30s. But I had I entered the Bath Half Marathon and did all right. I entered the Milton Keynes Marathon and did all right. And I suddenly thought, actually, I can still do this stuff, and if I train a bit more, perhaps I can do it a bit quicker. So I was doing that stuff. I was walking with the scouts. We were going off and doing weekends, where we're hiking over Dartmoor for 2 days. And then I stumbled across this spine race thing. And the first year I just watched the people at the front and I thought, these people are absolute heroes. But the second year I started watching the people at the back and I was thinking, they look like normal people who've just really taken it seriously and thrown themselves into it. I think I could be like them. So it was their inspiration and the fact that I had time and the inclination to get back into doing some extraordinary stuff.
Okay. So it's basically like a call from, like, I don't know, the world.
I think it was a realization that I could, that
that they were normal people.
Yeah, that you didn't need to be Usain Bolt in order to do extraordinary physical things. We can
David
all,
Goggins or something like
yeah,
that.
we can all do things, that and I'm diabetic, and it would be quite easy to think, oh, I can't do that because I'm diabetic. But you need to focus on, and it's cliched, but you need to focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. And so I was like, someone in my late 40s who'd been diabetic for 30 odd years, and I was thinking, actually, I really think I can do this. I really think I can do 268 miles on the Pennine Way in the middle of winter. And if you just if you plan it
when
enough,
you put it like that, it's just like, who the does this, man?
but you can, it's amazing what is, if you set your mind to it and spend a year training, it's amazing what you can do.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I am a big believer on setting your mind into something and then just achieving it no matter what. So I do believe that for sure.
I think as a society these days, I think we set our sights too low. We say, oh, I'm going to build up and I'm going to do a park run. Park runs are brilliant. And I think it's great.
Are you? Who says that? Oh my
People,
God!
People have couch to 5K apps on their phone. We are setting our sights too low. Anyone can do a half. Anyone can do a marathon. We can all do absolutely extraordinary stuff, and we should. It's not dangerous. The dangerous thing is, ending up 20 stone, sat on a sofa, unable to walk more than 10 yards without getting out of breath. That's dangerous. Going off and and going up mountains and doing stuff at sea. That's the safe stuff as far as I'm concerned, because it keeps you healthy, and it's going to mean when you're in your 80s. You will still be healthy and mobile.
Yeah, absolutely. No idea what 20 stone is, but I'll agree on that. Yeah, like kilos. Do you have any?
I don't know.
I know it's like 13 kilos per stone, so it's like oh my God, that's a lot.
Kilos, something like that.
Damn, that's a lot. Yeah. Okay.
But as a society, we're getting heavier.
Yeah, very, very heavy as well. Yeah, that's actually a big difference. I used to live in Germany, and like the amount of like fit, like 80-year-olds that you come to there, it's just amazing. Yeah. Well, here I have seen maybe like 3.
Really?
And yeah, maybe 3, and I've been living here for like now 3 years in total. And yeah, no, it's just crazy to me. Yeah. But yeah, well, so what You actually talked about your uh, diabetic condition. Is it called diabetic condition? Is that
Just my
diabetic? Your
diabetes.
diabetes. Okay, yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, when did diabetes become part of your life, and how did you like think about diabetes when you had it?
So I was 14.
Or 14. So okay, it was
So
a
a long time
very
ago.
okay.
Yeah, so 44 years ago,
Okay, fair enough.
I became diabetic. I don't, to be honest, 44 years ago, I don't remember too much from before that really. So for me, it's like I've had it, all of my adult life, and
I gotta say, there's no much thinking in at 14, especially as a man. No worries, but yeah.
yes, I mean, and diabetes has changed a lot over the years, but I think I always managed it reasonably well. It probably made me a bit more self-sufficient mentally, because I always felt right from the start I need to look after myself here. I never relied on anybody else to look after it for me. And then it's over the last 5 years, there's been more changes for how diabetes is managed than all of the years before that, because we now have these things, the wearable tech. So here I've got a continuous glucose monitor, so that tells me what my blood sugar is. And then
If you're
next to that,
dying or not, basically.
well, it just tells you. So I've got there's a reader there, and that will tell me what my blood sugar reading is and whether I'm within the correct range. And then next to that is an insulin pump that sort of reacts to that, and based on what my blood sugar is doing, that will inject insulin into the body, and so together they're a bit like a pancreas. It's not quite the silver bullet that it sounds like, but it's huge progress compared to the 39 years before that, when you're constantly injecting insulin and measuring your blood sugar by getting a bit of blood and putting it onto a machine.
Yeah. I do remember.
That's a pain in the ass. But just checking on a device is really easy. So it's made a real difference. And I'm not, I did used to run marathons before all of this tech happened. But it's a lot. It is a lot easier when you can just look. And also, when you're at the top of a mountain and it's -6 and there's 45-mile-an-hour winds coming in and it's snowing, and trying to get some blood out, or because you can't just inject, you have to inject into an area like this or this, which means you have to expose them.
Yeah.
And you really don't want to be doing that at the top of a mountain in the middle of winter. That's not a very safe. Whereas with this, that's already connected, so I can just say, inject a couple of units there. So it's all become easier, which is fantastic.
What I'm hearing is that you're basically a cyborg.
There's certainly an element of that. Yeah.
Yeah, are you a cyborg?
Yeah.
Yeah. So am I? Oh my god, I'm interviewing the first cyborg. The first cyborg of the podcast, at least. I know, fair enough. So, so you never actually thought it as a issue, let's say towards your running or your fitness and so on. And can you tell me actually what types are they and what do they actually mean? Because I have absolutely no idea.
So there's type 1 and there's type 2. So I'm
type 3.
I've never heard of type 3. No, somebody mentioned that the other day, and no, just types 1 and 2.
Oh my god, I thought.
Or not in this country.
It's probably because of me.
I
asked. Okay.
So type 1 is what happens. Basically, it normally happens in early childhood or teenage years when there are hormones flowing around, and it's an autoimmune error where accidentally the body wipes out the insulin producing cells in the pancreas, and so at that point you can't produce your own insulin. So assuming it gets spotted quickly enough that you don't die, you then go into insulin injections for the rest of your life. Type 2 is generally more brought on by lifestyle, possibly by stress, probably most commonly by just being out of shape, being overweight, and that's basically the body driving those insulin producing cells too hard. And the body being unable to produce enough insulin to cope with that. So that's normally treated through pills rather than through injections. and it is reversible type 2. If
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought there was like a lack of insulin, like a complete lack, a too much insulin, and then it was like basically the medium end where you just...
there isn't a too much insulin
No?
version. No, not one that I've heard of. No.
Okay, maybe I'm sorry.
So yeah, type 1 and type 2, and they tend to be quite different. And I mean, in fact, somebody said to me, some medical person said, he said, "Oh, you type 1s, you all do all this sort of exercise stuff. There are some unbelievably fit type 1s." So this event I did, the spine race. There's a guy called Chris Cope who he was also on the start line of the event that I was on the other day. He was, for me, favourite to win it, and he's a type 1 diabetic. He ran a couple of years ago when he won the summer version of the spine race, and before that, a couple of months before that, he ran the London Marathon in 2 hours 29. Now that's that's international standard. That's professional athlete.
I work in a sports bar, so I do know that.
So there are some. There's
229.
Yeah, there are some very very
That's
good.
close to like Olympics.
Yeah.
It's like 219 or 210. It's like 210. I think is Olympic level, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's in his 40s as well. So imagine what he could have done in his 20s. Yeah, so I'm saying the type 1s, type 1 diabetics, there are some very fit. You get some professional athletes, professional footballers, professional rugby players who happen to be type 1. There's an amusing theory I heard, and I think the person who said it was joking, but I understand the joke, was that actually it can be an advantage being diabetic in an endurance event, because a common thing people get wrong, normal people, is that they don't eat enough, and then they you say they blow up or they bonk. Basically, they run out of calories and they have to stop. Whereas a diabetic, you have to eat, so you're just eating, all the time. Every hour you're shoveling something down, even if you don't feel like it. And that is an advantage, because you have to do that to even complete these things. If you think, oh, well, I don't need food. No, you really do need food. You're doing, my watch told me people aim for 10,000 steps a day. Yeah. My watch told me after this event 2 weeks ago that I was averaging 110,000 steps a day for the 7 days that I was doing it. That's
crazy. That is actually crazy. What is that, like a month's worth?
But it's a lot.
A month and a half. That's a month and a half.
It's like trying. So to do that without fuel,
for every day, you basically did 10 days. Well, 11.
Yeah, and 11 at target. I mean, most people don't make that 10,000 steps a day. So anyway, it's a lot of exercise.
You did half a quarter. Half a quarter.
So you're doing about 45 miles a day over mountain ranges in the middle of winter.
That sounds
with
great.
A pack.
That sounds so lovely.
You should do it. You should dot watch next year, and then you'll get the bug, and then you train for 2 years, and then you do it. You'd love it.
Okay. I might do. So, what made you actually go all in? Like, what was the decision? Was there a decision point? Was somebody pushing you? And how did your wife actually react to it?
I think it was just at the point where I thought I could. So I did. There's a southern version which is 108 miles. That was the first one I tried was in winter, and it was a stinker of a year for weather.
What is it with winter? You guys in winter, like, why don't you do this?
There is a summer version, but it's not nearly as popular.
Why isn't it? That's so dumb.
Because it's hard, because it's such an achievement. So anyway, I had to go in this winter, 108 mile, failed, went back in the summer, did it, and that way I could see that I could do the distance. So I went back the following winter, did it, and then from there I thought, okay, well, if I can do that, then I'll have a go at the full distance, failed twice in that, went back and did the northern section, which is more 160 miles, and did all right in that, did quite well. And that made me think, look, I really can do this. But there's just so many things you have to get right. Just turning up at you, there's about 100 different elements of it that you have to get spot on. You do blisters and your pack and what you're eating and what you're drinking and your electrolytes.
Okay, let's go then fully into that, because I have absolutely no idea. I'm just running a sprint with pure mentality on April, because I haven't really exercised a lot.
And those smaller distances, you can get through. A half marathon, you can get through just on force of personality. You're going to say, I don't care if I get blisters. I don't care if everything hurts. I'm just going to keep going for 2 hours or whatever.
That's what I think. Like at least a sprint, which is 10k, no 5k, running, about 20 miles cycling, and 750 meters swimming. It's about 3 hours.
Yeah,
that's doable by just mentality, in my opinion. I'm regularly fit. But
yeah, once you're into 2 or 3 days, you have to get everything right.
Okay, so yeah, let's go fully into that. What is the first thing that you have to actually think about?
Well, okay, well, let's say water, because let's say that's the biggest staple of life. You have to be drinking. And in fact, it sounds so obvious, but I think 2 of my failures to finish in big events are down to not drinking enough. And I thought I had chronic back problem, but with hindsight, actually, I think it was kidney problem. I think I had debilitating kidney pain 2 events in a row, and I didn't make the connection until a year later when I had food poisoning and it hurt my kidneys, and I thought, oh my god, I know that pain. That's what I felt. Kidney. And so I was looking stuff up. I know my kidney function's all right because I've had it tested. But I think that's just dehydration. That was, I was driving the body hard, and I wasn't giving it the water it needed to clean itself out. So yeah, the first thing is water. You've got to drink a lot. You don't wait until you're thirsty. You're just constantly, getting the water down.
Okay, fair enough.
And then after that, fuel. So you've got to get the calories down.
And the thing is, I don't know how it goes, the actual race. So okay, you start and then you take the first sip right after. What's the deal?
Well, no, not immediately, but I know some people are very organised about it, and they will say there was a woman who won a race in the Arctic. Oh, by the way, the difference between men and women is disappearing on the really long distance stuff. It's equaling up. There are women, winning highly competitive events, beating all of the men. Not always, not 50%, but it's evening up, and it's really interesting what's happening in the ultra scene. So anyway, there's a I can't remember if she's Swedish or Norwegian, but anyway, she won an overall Arctic
It had
event.
to be Norwegian or Swedish. I just knew it. As soon as you said it, I was like, yeah, she's Norwegian.
But she sets an alarm on her watch for 20 minutes. And at the first one, she has some water. At the second one, she has some food. And at the third one, I think she has an electrolyte pill. And then, so she does this.
What the hell is an electrolyte?
Well, just like salt, something like that. The salt and the other sort of minerals that you really blast through when you're doing this. If you don't have salt in these things, you get cramp.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to be taking salt on. And and I don't know. I'm no expert on the other stuff, but
So I'm guessing those 3 are the main components then of the ultramarathon, the things that you have to take into consideration.
Yeah. Okay. So food, and that's really just about calories. You are not hungry in these things at all. It hurts to force food down, but you have to do it because if you don't keep the stomach full, the body diverts blood. And I'm not making this up. This is medically, sound. If you're running and walking fast, and you're not eating, the body diverts the blood flow away from the stomach to the muscles because that's where it's needed. And that means the stomach shrinks And that means when you do go to eat, having left it for 2 or 3 hours, you just throw it straight back up.
Really?
Yeah, and then you can't eat, and then you're in trouble. Because if you're not taking any fuel in, your body can deplete your glycogen stores.
That's easy. That's in like the first half an hour.
Yeah, but then after that, you're going to be breaking down muscle and fat, and that's no fun.
Yeah, and that's mostly muscle as well.
Yeah, and you're really going to feel that, and you're probably going to stop a couple of hours after that.
I do gotta say I fast once a week, so it's like I always like feel the change between like nothing to autophagy. Like I can feel the change straight up. It just feels completely different. At one point you're like about to like puke, and then you just like suddenly like feel released of that tension. So yeah, I feel it might be like that.
Yeah. You might even recognize the feeling. So you have to fuel, you have to drink, and you have to replace salt. And you may as well take a more general electrolyte pill. Is my view. That's what I do, because people talk about other, I don't know, magnesium and potassium. Not my area, to be honest, but I leave it to other people to, So I probably take an electrolyte pill, 2 or 3 a day when I'm competing in stuff. Just because also you're not generally eating a well-balanced diet during this thing. You are forcing down carbohydrates mostly, so you're going to need some other stuff.
So I'm guessing on the race. So like when you start, I don't know if the gun goes. Does the gun like?
They tend to be one of those sort of loud hailer with a button on it.
Damn it. Okay, no, then I won't compete in the race now. No, okay, so when the alarm goes, I don't know, alarm goes, what are you thinking? Are you thinking, oh, gotta take my electrolytes, gotta take my water?
No, you're not going to think any of that for an hour, I don't suppose. You're thinking about the fact that starts are generally pretty muddy, so you don't want to fall over and break your leg within the first 10 meters because that would be embarrassing.
Does that happen?
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot? Like, is that...
No, because everyone's careful. Everyone sets off at a run. Even, someone like me, I will certainly be walking more than I'm running. It's a fast walk, but you sort of feel you have to run at the start because this camera is pointing at you, and you have to pretend at least that you're going to run the whole thing, even if you're not. So you try not to slip up. You're trying to sort of smile for the cameras because there's lots of film cameras. They make a daily film of this thing as you're going around, which is quite fun.
I'm sure it is. So is it more like a walking type of thing, more than a running?
By the end, yes. I mean, the top 10 people will be running, yeah, and they're going for position. The people more at the back, you'll probably run a fair bit on the first day, some on the second day. By the time you get to the third day, there's not many people running from the third day onwards.
And then what happens the next?
Well, yeah, carry on walking, yeah.
Yeah, for 4 days, yes?
Yeah, so the time for the full distance, the time limit is 7 days, to the minute. So it starts 8 o'clock Sunday morning until 8 o'clock the following Sunday morning.
What is the shortest they have been doing it? Like,
well, they've brought in some 50-mile distances now. So they call them the sprint, the spine sprint, south and north, and they're both about 50 miles.
Okay. But how? Oh my god, I don't have the words for it. What is the shortest time that somebody has done the actual alpine?
The full thing.
Yeah.
So the record is held by a guy called Jack Scott, who's amazing. I don't know, but I'd guess it's probably about 4 days, maybe a bit less.
4 days.
Yeah, but to break the record,
how many miles is this again? Like, it's just insane to me. So like
268. But to break the record, it's actually not enough to be a supremely brilliant athlete. It also has to be the right year, because if it's a really cold year, then there's a lot of mud and bog. Well, no, but it's beneficial. If it's cold, it's faster. because all the bogs freeze.
Oh, okay.
So you're not wading through mud. You're just gliding over the top of it. So those are the fast years. Are the years where, I mean, ideally where there isn't a lot of snow, but it's cold enough to freeze all of the ground. That's your fast year.
Okay. I'm still thinking about this guy that does like 65 miles on average on a day.
Yeah, they're supreme athletes. They are incredible.
Did he sleep? Like, what's the deal?
No, they'll probably grab 20 minutes here and there. They'll probably, over the course of the whole thing, they might have 90 minutes sleep.
Okay, so that is okay. My next question then. What's the sleep schedule there? Like, what's the deal?
For me,
Yeah, go on.
so there are 5 checkpoints along the way. 4 of those have beds in them.
Good.
The 5th one doesn't. The 5th one just has a floor.
Okay.
So my plan is to have probably 2 hours, ideally 2 hours sleep at each one. But sometimes you're so tired you have to get some sleep in between those. And
well, in the wilderness.
No, well, not in winter because it's too cold. 2 weeks ago, it was minus temperatures the whole time. So you sleep in strange places. There are 2 public toilets along the way, and they are absolutely, where everybody sleeps. And then the final place where people sleep is a church. There's a village called Burness, which is the final point, the final village before you go over the final mountain range.
Everybody sleeps there?
Everybody goes in there, and they deliberately leave the doors open for the spine races. And in fact, so this is right up in the northeast, and the Bishop of Durham, who's a woman, she actually took part in one of the events this year, and that's
wait, as in she run the whole thing?
I think she did the sprint north, yeah. So and this is
that is so crazy. That is so crazy.
But honestly, people get obsessive. People love the race. I mean, not everyone loves the race. There are people where it goes through their garden and they're not very keen. But a lot of the people throw open their houses. There's a lady called Annie in a village called Garrigill who invites everyone into her kitchen and serves them soup.
Oh my God.
There's a lady called Helen at a place called Hornistead Farm who has an outbuilding that she devotes to. There's good. There's a guy called Rasta Ralph who sits outside barbecuing all the time, and as the runners come through, he'll give them a bit of meat off the barbecue and offer them a can of Stella, and it's the characters.
Stella is well.
These people are amazing. They call them spine angels.
Spine angels?
Absolutely amazing people. Clove Lodge Barn, Withs Hill, they are incredible. And people leave tubs of sweets out. It's so nice. There's a cafe called Nicky's Food Bar, and Nicky is a big supporter. It's an institution up there, and some people absolutely love it. And we the competitors love them.
I'm sure you do. So what are the major step backs that you actually had when starting to compete mainly?
Well, it's you don't always realize why you failed. The reason why you think it's like I was talking about, thinking having this back pain, or actually it was dehydration. It took me probably a year to work out why I dropped out. There was another time when, in fact, this is not very long ago. This is 6 months ago. I had to go at the summer one, the full distance, and I made it 163 miles, and then I thought I was out of time, and I stabbed myself twice in the foot with walking poles, and not deliberately.
I mean, I'm sure because of the sleep deprivation.
You're a real mess. I think of myself as a reasonably sharp guy, but after 4 days of going through the night every night, your brain is mush. So, and basically, I thought I was 4 hours behind schedule, and I wasn't going to make it, and I dropped out. And I went home, and a few days later, I sat down and worked out the maths, and I thought, no, I had loads of time. Well, I didn't have loads of time, but I did have time to complete it. So in your preparation, you have to prepare yourself to not have to make decisions. Or everything has to be planned in advance. You can't rely on your own brain, and everything has to be written down. Otherwise, you're going to get it wrong. You're going to be stupid.
That's actually how I live my life. As a general, I'm not kidding. I basically trust myself at certain points.
Yeah.
When I don't know, like when I fix my schedule, for example, for a day, or I don't know, as a general thing, like when I never lose my keys, because I always trust myself when I put the like my keys somewhere.
Yeah.
So I kind of like can trace it back, but I feel this is completely different. Like once you're like sleep deprived for like 4 days.
It's planning, meticulous preparation of every single aspect.
Yeah.
That you have to know where everything is in your pack.
So like you literally cannot function. Basically, you can run. That's about
It's
it.
easy to make mistakes.
Easy to make mistakes.
Yeah, and also it's you might be in that level of tiredness and sleep deprivation. It just messes with you. You can be quite despondent. I'm a very positive person, but I had a moment of absolute despair in this event. Where I was on the section between a village called Bellingham and a village called Burness, and I was horribly sleep deprived. I was literally falling asleep every step, and I was falling into the bushes. And luckily, I was with 3 people who looked after me, and they wouldn't let me stop. Or every now and again, I said, "Look, just give me 3 minutes on the floor." So I just lie down, fall asleep, and then 3 minutes later they say, "All right, Ian, let's go." So and off we, yeah, and they kept me going, and I was in the slough of despair at that point. But it was the middle of the night, but I knew that and in fact they kept me going. We got to Burness, got some food, and then we went in the church. Got a couple of hours sleep on the floor between the pews and the church, and daylight happened, and suddenly, I'm fine. I'm absolutely right as rain, for the rest of the event, and I knew that was going to be the case as well. But when you're tired and you're falling asleep, that's tough. Toughest I've known, I would say, in life, is trying to continue to function when all your body wants to do, and it's not even, it doesn't become, it's not a choice. Literally, every time I stepped on this leg, it just collapsed, and I've come back, and my eyes are just closing themselves. And you try, no, stay open. It's become, automatic. It's really hard, but not impossible.
Yeah. Well, you're living proof.
Yeah.
Well done again.
I tell you what made a real difference. So I was with this fantastic South African guy called Yako, and he kept trying to come up with ideas for how to keep me going. Because I hadn't even met him 4 days previously. He was a new friend, but I mean, it's wonderful that he cared so much. But in the end, he said, I've got another idea. He has some little earbuds. He said, just try. He said, put those in your ears, and he has some music on his phone, and he put on a 1980s compilation, quite loud, and suddenly, boom! It was, wow, I'm completely awake. It's like, oh my god, okay, let's go. It was transformational. The music. It wasn't even any of my favourite 1980s songs. I have to say, it was what, more Phil Collins, really?
Yeah.
But it really woke me up. And yeah, that made a huge difference. That probably saw me through the race.
Okay.
And that was enough to get me to Burness, and then Burness, sleep in the church, daylight, and I was absolutely fine from then on.
Thing is, what I'm trying to grasp basically the mentality that builds basically the person who actually finishes the race.
Yeah.
And it feels very similar to speaking to an ex-Marine. Well, I used to want to become a Marine, and I actually applied here in the UK. I'm half British, surprise. But it does feel like that. It's like the same kind of mentality.
And quite a few of those people go in and do the spine race. You get a lot of ex-servicemen, a lot of ex-special forces people
that's the other
going in for it to, get a bit of the adrenaline buzz that they used to get in the forces.
So yeah, it's basically this relentless pursuit of a goal and nothing else, and just basically forcing yourself to do it somehow.
Yeah, but it's also the preparation. I mean, like I say, anyone in the world could go in and stand on that start line, and if they have not spent 6 months, unless they were doing stuff like that anyway, they will not finish. It is not enough to be determined and even to be fit. It's you need to be specifically prepared for that. You need to spend probably a year, assuming you have a year wouldn't be good enough to get fit.
Just running.
Yeah, and with the pack. I mean, because I think I've been strong enough to do it for a few years, but I think I haven't been tough enough up here until perhaps the last 6 months.
Really?
And I also think I didn't have the core strength and flexibility as well. And and that may be because I'm getting older that I needed a bit more. I needed to build that more, because your core flexibility does go. I did a lot of Tai Chi in the last year, and I think that made a real difference.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, as well as all the other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, particularly if you're carrying a pack, you're running, with a 10-kilogram pack for some quite long distances. That's quite a load on your body and skeleton and everything.
So is it a 40 pound?
10 kilograms.
10, sorry. 10 kilograms.
Yeah, mine was. Some people managed to get it lighter than that. Some probably a little bit more, but including water and food, mine was 10 kilograms.
Yeah, the thing is, I've done like a 7-hour walk with snow and all of that in the south of Chile in summer though. Still like 5 degrees summer, so it's not great. But yeah, that was like 35 kilos or something like that. I was hitchhiking, and it was like my first hitchhike alone.
Yeah.
So I had an axe, mate. I don't know what the I thought of. But yeah, I had like a lot of stuff that I didn't need, and I had 35 kilos on me, and just like I was just determined to make it through.
Yeah.
And then, well, I did. But yeah.
Well,
oh my god, it's nothing in comparison.
35 kilograms is a lot.
Yeah, but mate, that's yeah, it's. I mean, I think it's still one of the biggest accomplishments that I have done, but that's about it. So I wanna know what your feeling was when you actually crossed that line.
So yeah, the finish.
Take me through the like before like when you start seeing the finish line.
Yeah, the finish is a pub. It's a pub. It's called the Border Hotel in a town called a village called Kirk Yetholm in Scotland.
Okay.
And traditionally, you go in there and you either touch the corner of the wall or you kiss the corner of the wall. I touched. I'm not a very kissy buildings kind of a person.
You kissed it, mate.
It's
all right.
They take photographs. You can see me touching it.
No worries, no judgment, mate. No.
So I'd been traveling with some other people. This South African guy, Yako, who was he'd sort of held back a bit, so he was out of the picture. I've been traveling with a couple of women as well, Anna and Fern, but we'd sort of got a bit separated as well. So they weren't far behind, but I was on my own. It was late. It was 4:00 in the morning, a week ago, last Sunday. And I have to say, okay, it was cold. It was so cold, it was icy. So and in fact, so there's this last bit of road that you come over. I was a bit bored of it all, I have to say, and so I was going far. I was walking fast because I just wanted it to be over because it had been going on for 7 days, and I just wanted it to stop. So I was really pushing out on this and not spotting that actually the road was icy in one place. And so at one point I went to sort of push off with my foot and went face planted onto the tarmac here, and my sort of poles underneath me. And I was thinking it was a really heavy fall, right onto my face. And I thought, is there any blood here? I was thinking, and somebody said after that I had a bit of a mark. I thought if I'd broken my nose.
Oh,
But amazingly, I was all okay. There was nothing broken, not even the poles.
good.
And that was about like 300 meters before the finish. But thankfully out of, because there were quite a lot of people there. I thought 4 o'clock in the morning, there's going to be nobody there. There's going to be there'll be a photographer. But actually there was about 30 people there, which I was amazed by. And I didn't know any of them. I thought, why are you all up? I was very touching, very moving that they were there. And there's all houses around there, so they can't make too much noise. It's just there's a quiet clapping. It wasn't you. So I mean, it's a relief that it was over, and it felt like the end of a long journey, not just the 268-mile journey I'd just done, but actually the 5 years leading up to that, and a lot of sacrifices. A lot of money, a lot of time away from the family, a lot of people getting a bit bored of me doing this sort of stuff. It had become, a bit of an obsession, and just the fact that, I could now, I was free to get on with the rest of my life. The irony is I will probably go back and volunteer. They have a whole army of volunteers there helping people, and the best people to be the volunteers are people who've done it, because you really know what they're, when you see them and they're crying as they come into Burness, you know why they're crying. You know what the appropriate way to talk to them is, and how to help. So I'll probably go back. But yeah, so but for me it was a relief. But I mean, I was also absolutely shattered as well. So I was only half there. So I was looking at the photos of the finish. I don't remember them very well. There's one of me. There's a nice photo of me touching the wall, and I don't recognise the expression on my face, and I don't remember that photograph being taken. I just.
Do you remember touching the wall at all?
I remember making the decision to touch it and not to kiss it.
Oh.
I don't think I remember touching it. No, it was all a bit. And somebody interviewed me, and I don't think I engaged very. And I remember going inside and eating a lot. They got this bowl of sort of mince. There's like minceman water or something, and it doesn't sound very nice, but it's just what you need. It's just what you're lacking. Particularly, it's got protein, so you can do with a bit of protein so the muscles start repair. But it was a huge bowl, and I thought, oh, I'll have that. So I had that, and then they sort of assigned somebody to look after you at the finish. And then the guy came back, and I said, I couldn't get another of those. I mean, this thing was absolutely huge, and I ate 2 of them just sort of straight down. I was thinking, yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing. So when you finish, I mean, I'm still in this phase now. You just eat. Yeah. For weeks. I mean, all you're doing is eating and sleeping. Eat. Yeah. I mean, I think I lost about 1 stone doing this, and I didn't really have a stone
in a week.
Yeah, just from doing this. And I don't think I didn't have a stone to lose. I think I was about the right weight at the start. But just with the calories you're using, and the fact that there's no way you can keep up with that eating wise, however much you try. And what you eat tends to be sort of empty calories anyway. Everyone loses a load of weight. And not in a good way.
Yeah, no, it's not like a great.
No, it's like sort of cutting off your arm and losing weight that way. Yeah. It's like a really unhealthy way of losing weight.
I mean, it does. I know a little bit about what happens after the Ironmans. I know it takes like a couple of years of your life, basically. But I feel it's just like the rewards just like so great. to just say that you did the Ironman or you did the spine.
To know I've done it, it means a lot to me. And I mean, whatever happens, that would have been my last one, but it would have been so hard if that had been my last one and I'd failed. Oof, that would have been difficult, and I would be plagued by thoughts about, should I go back next year and have another go? And I'd like to think I would have not, because I made that promise to my wife, but I just don't know. As it is, it's really easy. I've got the medal, I've got the certificate, I can make a nice picture frame with all of these things, and there are lots of nice pictures, including me touching the wall. It's really easy stopping now.
Looking back to the whole 5 years, what do you reckon is like the things that you learned through the way?
Well, two things. The first one, and I never have been great at team sports. Played a bit of cricket, played a bit of football.
You just hate people, apparently. No,
I love people, but I've always been a runner and a walker, and generally on my own.
You and
and I think of myself as being self-sufficient, but bizarrely, I think endurance events like this, it is a team sport, and you don't always know the team until you're halfway through. So, there's a couple of people who I've met in the last few events I've done. There's a guy called Richard, who I did the Challenger North with, and there's Yako, who I did this event with. And I'm not sure I would have finished either of those events without them. And I didn't know them before the start. I didn't know them until I happened to meet them and we ended up walking together. I think these things are a lot easier if you can buddy up with somebody on the trail. And that was a real surprise for me, because I've always run marathons and stuff on my own, and I train on my own, and I think of myself as self-sufficient and I don't need anyone, but I think I really do need people in these events. And hopefully you can, hopefully it's even and you can contribute towards their event and they contribute towards yours. But I think it's so hard to do it on your own. And the other thing is just that when you are struggling, when you have lost your strength, and you have become weak because you're exhausted, or because your brain's exhausted, or you're tired, or you haven't eaten enough, then you have to try and remember that your strength will return, and you have to try to make sure that you are still in the game at that point when your strength returns, and you are not sat in the passenger seat of a volunteer's car who is taking you to the dropout room at the next checkpoint. And I've done that 3 times. But you get to where they're driving you, and you think, actually, do you know what? I feel fine now. And then you think, yeah, that's because you gave up too soon. That's because you thought that you felt bad and you were always going to feel bad, or you're going to feel bad for the next week, and it just isn't the case. It's your brain tells you must stop. You must find a reason to stop. Your brain wants you to stop. It wants this to end, but it's wrong. That's the other thing I've learned.
Oh my gosh. Dang. It's just, it feels like it's, I don't know. It's like pure wisdom distilled.
It's taken me 5 years to learn that.
Oh, fair enough.
And yet it seems so obvious. It is, with hindsight, these things feel like, do it with somebody else. It's easier. Pain goes away. You'll get better. You'll be better soon. But it's hard. It's hard to remember these things.
And if you would have had this wisdom of this 2 particular things back when you were, let's say, 20, how different do you reckon you would have taken your decisions? How of a different life you would have lived? Would you have lived?
Well, no, I think, because I think this stuff, I think these lessons mostly relate to endurance running for me. I think in normal life, I'm not a loner. in normal life. You know, I have friends. You know, I have a partner. You know, that I have a family. I think it's just within endurance events where I have thought of myself as being self-sufficient and self-motivated. So I think, you know, in my 20s I didn't do this sort of stuff. I'm not sure I could have done this sort of stuff in my 20s because we didn't have the diabetes tech then. So yeah, no, yeah, I'm not sure how useful these lessons are in life in general, I'm afraid. I think they're quite specific for me.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
But maybe the thing about not giving up, because things will,
listening to your brain.
yeah, things will get better. You know, if you're in a real downer, don't imagine that you're always going to be in a real downer. You know, maybe that's a useful lesson. But I'm not normally like that. That's the thing. I'm a real sort of, you know, positive, you know, happy bunny. My wife
just when you're not sleep deprived for 7 days straight, then you
at the end of this low point, just as I'm going into the church to get a couple of hours sleep, the people who do the daily films for the spine race, they stuck a camera in my face and they said, "How are you feeling?" And I was like, "You want to know?" Okay, and I gave them this real sort of stream of consciousness of negativity, and I had to choke back the tears at one point, and I was sort of saying how I didn't deserve to be here and things. It's really not very. But my wife saw that film, and she watched it and she said, you know, and we've been married for 25 years. She said, "I've never seen that Ian before."
really.
Yeah, that is a stranger to me.
So like it was like that bad. Like it was like a
Yeah, but even then, at the end of it, I think I do get a bit positive, and I say, you know, but you know, my friends, they got me here, and now we're going to go and get some rest, and then tomorrow we're going over the Cheviots, and we will make the finish. So it ends on a pretty positive note, saying, you know, we are going to make it, and which is exactly what happened.
yeah. Well done again. It it feels surreal for me. Just like listening to the story is I don't know. It's so different from anything else that I've.
From real life.
Yeah, it literally feels like it's a book. Are you planning on writing anything?
I'm going to write up the diabetes side of it because I know that would be useful to some people. The people have been asking, you know, what did you do? You know, what did you eat? What insulin did you take? What other management stuff did you do? I need to write that up because that will be useful to people who are on that same journey. And the difficulty is, I don't think I do all that side of thing perfectly, and I can tell people what I did. But I wouldn't want people to go off and do exactly what I did, and then, you know, have a hyperglycemia on the top of a mountain and die, and it be my fault. So I'm a bit nervous about it. I accept. I just have to put some caveats in there and say, this is what I did, and I made it to the end. Take this and improve on it, and do your own planning with that.
As the saying goes, we stand in the shoulders of giants. So maybe let you be the first giant.
When I got involved in this, the first thing I did and I asked around for people who'd done things like this before, and I did Zoom calls with all of them and asked them lots of questions and wrote down all the answers. So the first thing people, whether they, you know, finished events or not finished events, if anything, I was more interested in the not finished events people, because I wanted to know what hadn't worked. But yeah, no, there were, I think, 3 people who each of whom gave me about an hour of their time online, and that was really, really useful.
And how many other people have done this with diabetes?
The winter spine race?
Yes.
None.
Am I talking to basically a world Guinness record?
So there are the winter spine races and the summer spine races. The winter spine races, I've done the full distance, the Challenger North and Challenger South. No one else has completed any of those events. The summer, 2 people have, you know, Chris Cope, who's an absolute superstar, and he should have won this event over here. So he started this one. He was leading after 24 hours, and because he was moving quickly, he slipped and landed on a rock on his knee. So he couldn't finish. He had to withdraw at that stage. He certainly would have finished, and he quite possibly would have won it, but he didn't, and I did. So I'm still the only person. Plenty of people will.
You are the first person to ever run a spine.
Any of the winter spine events, as far as I know, unless somebody did it and kept quiet about it, which is possible. As far as I know, I'm the only person who's completed any of the winter spine events, and I've done all 3 distances. Some are more have done. And
we are talking to a basically crazy
it is difficult,
but incredibly
managing a condition where temperature is a factor, because this insulin is heat activated. And it is a bit, it is quite tough going to the top of mountains where it's like 45 miles an hour winds and -6 in the middle of the night. As far as I know, nobody's died doing it, but it is
probably the hidden it. No, I'm kidding.
It is quite extreme, and you do have to be quite brave, I think, to go off and do it. But yeah. So I'm convinced many more will do it now, and the technology's there, to make it much easier. And that's why I'm doing it. I'm not sure I would have succeeded if I'd been, finger pricking and injecting insulin, while having to expose skin. I think that would have been difficult.
But you're literally the first giant, then.
At this moment, the only one. More will come, but I'll always be the first. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. And Chris Cope, who is 100 times the athlete I am, he's been really kind about it as well, and he was very supportive. Well, once he dropped out, once he did his knee, he was messaging me from then on saying, "Yeah, come on." So, he is an absolute superstar, and world's nicest guy.
So you have to basically rub it in his face all the time. I'm sure you do. No, I'm kidding.
He holds the record for one of the summer distances.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And he won the full distance in summer. He did that in 24, and he won it.
Okay. So then no. Okay. So one last question. This would be maybe for the people who have been listening to the podcast, and they've listened to all you have to say, and they're saying they're already searching when is the next race, basically. How should they prepare for it? What advice would you give them?
The first thing is it's quite hard to get in. It's heavy. It's a bit like getting Glastonbury tickets. It's heavily oversubscribed. Tickets go on sale. The entries go on sale it might be next week even, for the year after, and it'll sell out in minutes.
How many crazy people are there in the world?
The summer races are easier to get into, because they're not as extreme.
Yeah.
So, but if somebody were to,
because they're not as extreme, I still find that it's just amusing.
I would say if you were starting from scratch, you'd have to give it at least 2 years and do some and build up to it. Start off with a marathon and then gradually build up. And I tell you, another thing it took me a long time to do is to get a coach. So because I always thought, I'm not going to get a coach. Usain Bolt probably has a coach, but Ian Evans doesn't have a coach. That would be an idea. But actually, they're not very expensive. It's probably the monthly cost of having a coach is it's less than my local gym membership.
Really?
For a month, yeah. And I don't belong to a gym. I don't need to lift weights and stuff. I just need to run and walk and stuff like that. So it was £75 a month that I was paying for somebody really knowledgeable who had done the spine race to work out a training program for me and monitor me. And I never met the guy. This guy called Ronnie Staton, and he's up north. But his advice was absolutely brilliant. and his training plan was good. And there were lots of things I hadn't thought of. Like I was doing all my training with the rucksack on, and he said, "Well, you're probably getting to the start line injured, and certainly worn out." He said, "You just don't need to be doing that for every once a week, a training session with the rucksack, but the rest, no, just do it just normally in clothes." And he had me doing some speed work, because he said, even though you're not going to be running fast in the event, you will find what you do a lot easier if you do have that speed based. So people like Ronnie Stanton know what they're talking about, and they've trained people year after year for this. So I would advise that, I think. Although I only started doing that 3 months before this event, but I would say that was a really useful 3 months to have.
Well, I got you there.
Yeah, exactly. But
that and many other things, I'm sure.
Yeah, and other than that, when just eating, drinking, electrolytes, you've got to try and break. Through doing gradually bigger events, you've got to. Every time I did any big run or event, I would go home and I would write up afterwards what went well, what didn't go so well, what I would do different next time. Constantly learning about what it is that you're doing.
Okay. I know I said it one last question, but I have got another one. For the people who just got diagnosed with diabetes type 1, what would you say?
And this is partly why I do it. If I want to be, people sometimes say, "Oh, you're inspirational." I don't really think of myself that way, but I do accept that, when I was diagnosed 44 years ago, I think I assumed that there were lots of doors that were closed to me because of that, and it really isn't the case. There's not much you can't do because of type 1 diabetes. I probably wouldn't join the army. I probably wouldn't try to be an astronaut. But other than those two things, I think pretty much everything else is open and available. And
SAS, basically.
Yeah, I think it would be bad to run out of insulin, behind enemy lines, on a.
You just wait a second.
I think that would be dumb, So accepting, but in terms of pretty much anything else, as Chris Cope is teaching us, it's amazing what's possible for a type 1 diabetic to do, and it's you can do pretty much anything, and if you throw yourself into it, you can do most of these things better. I don't know anyone, other than the people I know through the spine race. I don't know anyone who does a tenth of what I do, and pretty much everyone I know isn't diabetic as well. It really doesn't need to hold you back at all from doing anything other than joining the Special Air Service or going to the moon. Accept that you're not going to do those, and everything else is possible. So don't imagine that, and don't let anyone subtly imply that you ought to be, not going and playing football with your football team, or shouldn't be going on that school trip or anything. It's all rubbish, and they're only saying these things or implying these things because they're scared. Because they're scared they're going to be held responsible if you have a hypoglycemia, and but it really doesn't matter. The risk, is not that you're going to have a hypoglycemia in a park somewhere. The real risk is that you're going to get really fat, and that at age 54 you're going to have a leg amputated because you've got so fat and you didn't get enough exercise. Make sure that doesn't happen. If you are diabetic, become extremely active and do exciting things and go up mountains and run marathons and run ultra marathons and walk the length of the country, walk the Sahara. All of these things are absolutely possible. So do them.
That's incredibly powerful. Ian Evans, thank you very much for being on the podcast. Guys, thank you very much for listening again to another week's of Beyond the Horizons episodes. Ian, again, thank you very much for being in the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
And well, guys, see you next week.